Hi, this is Tate with Black Bear Outdoors, blackbearoutdoors.net, and we wanted to talk a little bit about what is sharp and what knives should I have. So let's start out. Have you gone out, have you bought a decent set of knives? And we'll talk a little bit about what decent means here in a second. But two, did they come sharp, or even are they sharp at this point? The first thing I want to kind of show you is, you know, most of the knives we get in here for sharpening, we do professional knife sharpening here at the store, is going to do something, you know, that's kind of like a ripping motion, where it's just going to kind of tear things up. What we want to see you have is, by the time you leave our store, is a knife that's going to do this. It cuts better than scissors. You know, and that's out of a standard knife, and we can get basically any knife to do that. So even if you've got reasonable knives, we can make it happen. So that's not, I mean, this is a $29 to $50 knife, matter in where you purchase it. This is not a $300 knife or anything. So something nice to have. First of all, what knives should I have? You know, you get these sets and you get 25 different knives, and what does that mean? Knives I recommend that every home cook should have: your 8-inch chef's knife. I really do like the Victorinox series knives. These are made by Forstner. Great knives, like I said, 25 to 50 bucks, mattering where you purchase them. Awesome, awesome knives, and I like in the 8-inch version. If you like a little longer knife, they do make a 10-inch version, and I really like that. The most popular knives on the market for a chef's type knife right now for home users is what they call Senduko. And a Senduko knife is basically means, you know, three purposes, basically loosely translated. It's a Japanese style knife where it's very flat on the bottom. You'll notice how the other knives are very rockered. And these are great for chopping. So if you're doing more chopping type work, this is a great knife for that. Very light, very narrow angled, and very popular right now. And you'll see these little Granton edge right here, which is basically a little cutout to make it slide through the meat or vegetables or anything a little faster. Really, really popular. 7-inch is the one you want to go with. You'll see a lot of people with utility knives. I recommend kind of going with a 5-inch Senduko instead of a utility knife, because you can still get your knuckle on there, which is important. So picking one of those 4 knives. Doesn't have to be, if I was going to pick one out of the whole 4, it would be an 8-inch chef's knife. Really like that. A bread knife. Something that is, again, Victorinox scores really high all the time on these particular knives, somewhere in the $25 to $50 ranges also. I like the 10.5-inch knife, especially if you're doing bread at home. So something I really, really like. The other thing you're going to want to look for is a knife that actually thins as it goes to the tip, and then a knife that has a rounded edge. A rounded edge means if I have to pull all the way through the bread, it doesn't jab back through. So very, very important. And this is a bread knife. It's not meant to do everything else out there. And then a paring knife. Something that's going to actually be for peeling or doing something like that. I really recommend putting a little money into these. Don't get something serrated. You know, these are something that's made to peel or to dice or to even do paring type applications like you would see a professional cook do. Now, a couple things that, like I said, you don't have to have but are kind of nice, and I kind of would start in the terms of starting here: a boning knife. Boning knives are great. They're basically fillet knives. I like something semi-flexible for doing fish or skinning out like a chicken. So something in that 5 to 8-inch range works really nice. You know, decent quality one is always a good idea. Again, Victorinox does a great thing on that. The next knife I'd probably recommend doing would be a 5-inch Senduko, and the reason for this is because it fits on a paper plate. So if you're a paper plate cutter where you're cutting a lot on plates and, you know, paper plates, this would be something I definitely recommend because it's small enough to fit on there and still be able to cut. So really one I'd recommend. Next would be a slicer. I recommend getting a 10-inch slicer. This would be something that is designed for a cutting like tri-tip, steak, things like that, even, you know, turkey, ham. You'll see these a lot at ham knives or, you know, prime rib knives if you go out to a restaurant, again with the Granton edge, which is going to allow it to have a little air pocket there so the meat falls off a little easier. And then a bread knife, or a sandwich knife I call it. Sandwich knives are really nice because this is the knife I use if I'm going to be cutting on plates and things like that, because I don't want to tear up my bread knife. So a little smaller, able to do that. And still be able to have a decent sized handle. I also like the offset versions, so I can cut along all the way down to the bottom of the blade. Always make sure you get one of these guys. This is a butcher steel. This is meant to be used in the terms of putting it up against your blade at the angle that your knife is supposed to be at, and then cutting along. So this is what a good set would be. Keep in mind, I only recommend these three right here. The reason is because 99% of the stuff you can do with these, and really I think you can do everything with these. Is it a little nicer to have a little bit more set? Yes. But I'd rather see you spend good money on 3 knives than spend, $150 on 25 knives that are junk. So, again, Victorinox a really good thing. Keep in mind, you go to certain stores like Sur La Table is one of my favorite stores because they allow you to cut with the items. And every single knife here, when it came from the store, was reasonably sharp, and I resharpened them here. We use a 5-step process here at Black Bear Outdoors to make the knives razor sharp and keep that edge, so we can make that edge proper for the knife. Usually most of these knives here, if they're the standard sharpening, are going to be $10 to $15, mattering on how bad the blade is when it comes into us. But we can take any knife and make it sharp, and we'll be showing you that in a later video. We'll be taking this knife here, which we got at a garage sale for 50 cents, and make it so it will cut like one of these high-end knives. Now, just reasonable junker knife that we will make that will just blow you away on how well they cut after we're done. It's not the knife, it's how you sharpen it and what you're going to be using it for. And as always, have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.